Welcome to episode 8 of Target Acquired Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy, aka Jerbear, and on today's episode, we are going in depth on another 2 of the Inhumans that were recently revealed, as well as the prize wall for Adepticon. Lastly, we're going to be going over our first event for this year's Mid-Atlantic Crisis Cup. Let me pass it over to the guests that are joining me today to have them introduce themselves.
Hey, this is John. I go by Swooper on Discord.
And this is Sean. I go by Reynolds Rap on the Discord.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me. Let's get started. So, first things first, we have some new reveals for Inhumans that are coming out. First is Karnak, and the other one coming in the box is going to be Gorgon. Sean, do you want to talk about them a little bit?
Sure. Let's start with Karnak. He is coming in at a 3/3/4 defense. He is 5 health, 3 threat, size 2, moves medium, and is on a small base. He has 2 attacks. First is a builder. It is range 2, 5 dice, and it pushes on a wild. And this is a any size push, and it is a way short. Next, he has a spender. It is range 3, 7 dice, 4 power, and both these attacks are physical. Special effect on this is he counts his skulls and the defender's skulls when counting successes. He has meditate, yes. For 0 power, it is an action. He gains 2 power, just like Wong. He has a superpower teaching of the 3 worlds. After another allied character within 3 makes an attack or defense roll during the calculate success step, this character may use this superpower. The allied character may add up to 2 of their skull results when calculating total successes. That costs 4 power. He has another react superpower, pinpoint weakness. After the attack against this character is resolved, or this character resolves an attack, it may use this superpower. Place a weakness token on one or more existing weakness, or move a existing weakness token to the attacking or defending character. This character may only have 1 weakness token in play at a time. This costs 2 power. Next is Analyzing Strike, which explains what those weakness tokens do. When this character attacks or defends against an enemy character that is holding a weakness token, this character adds 3 additional dice to that roll. After the attack or defense roll is resolved, the weakness token is then removed. He is also an Inhuman, so he gets to reroll 1 attack dice or 1 defense dice. And he also has Martial Artist, so he counts blanks on physical and energy attacks that are within range 2. So he's got a lot going on for him for a 3 threat.
Right.
He does.
He's exactly the same on the other side, health and all.
So, first thoughts about him. I really like him. I'm sure you guys are in the same boat. I think he's a very fine-tuned 3 cost. I'm interested about the meditate. That's the one thing that perplexed me when I first saw his card. The meditate for him gives you 2 power. Wong's only gives you 1. So it's named the same, and I'm wondering if Wong will end up getting a errata to make his meditate 2 power.
Nah, I mean, Wong is a 2 threat, keep in mind. This is a 3 threat, but meditate is really interesting on him, considering if you use OG Black Bolt's leadership, it does give you a lot more extra power to spread around on turn 1.
Oh, you're getting what at that point? 6 power if you just no, you can only use it once per turn, so 4 power per turn if you use the leadership.
Where are you getting the extra?
You're getting 1 from the round, you're getting 1 from moving from leadership, and then you're getting another 2 from meditate.
I think he hands out the power. I don't think you put the power on him. I think you give the power to someone who actually needs it for the turn.
I don't think you use it at all.
It gives you the option for the play. I'm not saying it is the play.
Yeah, I just think because it costs an action, you don't use it. He's so good at everything else. There's so much on this guy's card. Like, he's gonna get splashed.
I'm gonna splash him 100%, thinking he's splashable. The biggest surprise to me was the pinpoint weakness. Very good to be able to get it right after a attack or a defense roll happens. So if someone really wants to go after him, that second attack going into him is going to have much more likelihood of missing because of being able to count blanks with martial arts. So I think he's going to be a pain to try to get off the board.
Yeah, I think he gives me like 3-threat Shang-Chi vibes.
I don't think he's quite Shang-Chi level, but yeah, I see where you're going with that. I think also the fact that his push is any size on a 3-threat is ridiculous.
Right, with 5 dice to get a wild.
And a
Pretty
reroll
good.
because you're Inhuman.
Right.
But everything on his card has a spot for another affiliation just to mix in. They did really well with him. So
Right.
you're gonna see him everywhere.
That teachings of the 3 worlds too, so the one that lets you change those skulls. I know last week we talked about Maximus, his leadership forcing you to reroll, and if you get that skull, if you take Karnak with you, your skulls are not that bad. It is 4
It's
though.
4 power.
But this is where the meditate comes in. So do you take the action for the meditate and use him as more of a toolbox, or do you keep that power for his pinpoint weakness and just hammer into somebody?
I think you pinpoint
you
weakness.
take every action you can to use his builder and start pushing people off points.
You know what he lacks?
Defense?
Action economy.
Oh, action economy. Okay, so a charge?
Yeah, so he doesn't have like any kind of extra movement shenanigans. I know there's other ways to do it, with Medusa or cards and whatnot, but like on his card himself, he doesn't have anything like that. His actions are just what you get is what you get, basically.
I don't think he needs to worry about moving much. He is going to sit somewhere on a point and say, go ahead, try it. And he's going to get the extra dice for the defenses after the first attack. And if you're still sitting there when the next round comes around, guess what? You have a 5 dice builder coming into you, followed by potentially a 10 dice spender that's going to count both his and your skulls. So sit there if you want against him. But I think he's really going to be just a place and hold.
Yeah, but looking at it after John says it, I'm now looking at his builder and I'm going, man, I really wish that had pursuit on it, because it sucks to push a character away and then be like, well, I'm range 2.
Then you're
Guess
out of
I'm
range
gonna sit
now.
here.
Even if you're base to base, I think you're out of range, right?
Well, it depends on what you're trying to go for. If you're going for another Shattering Strike, you possibly might be. But if he's following up with the range 3 spender, then you will still be within range even if you get pushed away.
That push is also a must. It's not a may.
It is.
Yeah.
Those little
I really wish he had
things.
pursuit. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't think he should have had a charge, but I do like the idea, especially of being like he's kung fu and whatnot. Pursuit is kind of a cool thing. Like you're attacking your opponent and you follow up. I think that would have been a cool thing to give him.
Doesn't almost every single character with martial artist have pursuit?
No, pursuit's pretty rare when you think about it. Like Blade has it, the Howling Commandos have it.
Shang-Chi has it.
Is it called pursuit on his card?
It's not called pursuit,
It's
but
not,
it's the one power that you can spend after he makes.
He's got the superpower for it. Blade is off of his 4 dice.
Blade is actually pursuit.
Yeah, his 4 dice basic attack, whatever it's called, the throwing stars. Yeah, and then who else with
Howling
martial
Commandos
arts?
have pursuit. And Angela has pursuit on her spender.
Daredevil, in a way, he's got the reverse pursuit, so he can pull people
there's a
towards
couple
you.
that have it that aren't called pursuit. So apparently Captain Marvel has a way of doing it. Lady Sif, M'Baku, Psylocke, and Shadowlands all have ways of doing it. Shadowlands actually has the word pursuit in her, and so does Psylocke, has pursuit built in. M'Baku has pursuit built in, but Lady Sif has something else. Follow-up. Hers is called follow-up, and it costs it's 2 triggers for hers.
Yeah,
What's funny is if you look at it, granted she's a 4, but Lady Sif has the Warrior Born, which is range 2, 5 dice, push. Hers has a size. Hers may push, and then if she gets a crit and a wild, she gets follow-up, which is essentially pursuit.
Yeah, so she gets the May in the first place, and then she gets pursuit.
Yeah.
She is a 4.
Right.
It just means you'll have to be a little bit more tactful when placing him, and try to get something behind. If you don't want the opponent moving, just get a backstop behind them. Don't be right at the range 2 increment. Maybe get right up on them to help out a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's very good. You use that too with you get Medusa's new leadership card or whatever, so that can give you, I guess, that action economy you're looking for.
You have to KO or daze someone
I
for
know.
it, but
It sucks that there's nothing on his like actual card that to get that economy you have to do other things. But I still think he's very good for a 3. Like I think he's up there when it comes to 3s.
Do you think, because we were talking earlier about 3-cost characters in Dark Dimension, do you think he's a runner-up to going into Dark Dimension for the Tactics card?
absolutely not. Weapon
You
X
know?
still holds that title.
Yeah. I don't think he puts out enough damage to make it worthwhile. Where it's like, why would I take him over Weapon X? Why would I take him over Zemo? There's a bunch. I think he's really good. And he probably serves a purpose, in certain lists and stuff. But best 3, no way.
No, not best, but obviously a contender for up there. All right, so who's next, Sean? Who do we have right after him?
Well, next up we have Gorgon, and I will say right off the bat, this is the one I'm way more excited for. Even after all the hype that we just had about Karnak, Gorgon's my man. He's going in my list immediately.
I agree. I think he's very good.
So defense-wise, we're coming in at a 4-3-3. He is 6 health, 3 threat, size 2, medium move on a small base. He has a builder, Mace Strike. It is a range 2, 5 dice. It has a stun on a wild. Then he has a 0 cost attack that is Hoofquake. It is a beam 3, 4 dice energy, shock on a wild. And he has his spender, Goo Crusher, or God Crusher. Thank God.
Crusher.
Yeah, that D is a little bit fuzzy. God Crusher, range 3, 8 dice, 4 cost. After the attack is resolved, if the character is size 4 or less, this character may throw it away short. Also has a stagger on a wild. He has a charge, 2 power. He has a bodyguard. You're going to have to deal with me first. 2 power.
His is
2.
a taunt.
Is it a taunt?
Yeah. Because
What's it-
bodyguard is when you're next to the allied character, right?
Well, I didn't even catch that. Yeah, this is when you're next to within range 2 of the enemy character.
Right. This is the same as like Colossus. Colossus is a taunt. Luke Cage is a bodyguard.
Okay, so stand corrected. He has a taunt when within range 2 of an enemy character, this character and a... Sorry, I'll just actually read exactly how it is. When an enemy character is within range 2 of this character targets another allied character with an attack, this character may use this superpower. This character becomes the target of the attack regardless of range and line of sight. Then he is Inhuman, and he is immune to poison.
Okay. And he's obviously the same on... No, he's not the same
No,
on the
he is
back.
1 less health on the backside.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, he's nice for a 3-cost. Now, it's interesting that his is within 2 of an enemy character, while the old Black Bolt is within 2 of an ally. So it gives you kind of best of both worlds. And honestly, what would you guys say is the better of the two?
Bodyguard.
If you had
Bodyguard.
options? Bodyguard itself.
Yeah, bodyguard is if Colossus had bodyguard instead of taunt, you would see Colossus on the table.
Yeah, the God
Yeah.
Crusher is nice definitely with getting the stagger.
Yeah, I'm never complaining about having a stagger.
No,
Option.
it's always nice.
He's stupid good. Like these 2 characters, I know like we looked at the last 2, you looked at like King Black Bolt and Maximus, like meh, these 2 make this box like holy crap.
So let me ask John. For me, looking at Gorgon, he doesn't wow me. So what am I missing about him that makes him stand out to you?
He's simple. The simple characters are some of the best characters in the game. He doesn't have a lot of fancy shenanigans and whatnot because he doesn't need them. It's like Zemo. Zemo doesn't have a lot of fancy shenanigans. He's pretty basic when it comes down to it. So is Gorgon. He has a charge, he has great attacks, he has a taunt, and a reroll. He has action economy, which is great. All of his attacks do good things. He's got decent health, medium movement. I think he's very good. And the beam handing out shock, that's just like icing on the cake.
Okay. So your opinion of a good character, like a very good character, is just kind of going back to the basics of things, like how much can it do that's not fancy, but just a standard, like a charge,
But you don't need things to be fancy to be a good character. And I think that's what sometimes gets away from people is you look at a character like, oh, he has all these like things like I like Karnak. I think Karnak's good. And it's like, oh, he has weakness tokens and all. I don't need all that stuff half the time to make your character good. Sometimes just the most basic of things like good attacks, a charge, and he has a taunt. They're all very simple things. And it makes him very good, I think. I would put him in Dark Dimension. Not over Weapon X, but I think in Dark Dimension he is pretty useful. I wouldn't mind bringing him back to be able to taunt constantly for me. And I think he'll be able to use his taunt more often, whereas like with Colossus, I think it's hard to pull off that taunt because Colossus doesn't have charge.
Yeah, with him having the charge, he does feel more like he's going to go chase objectives. He's going to go move around the map a lot more than some of these others that seem to have a bodyguard or a way of blocking damage for others.
Right.
So,
I think he reminds me a lot too of like, so you have Zemo, who's really simple. I think Lizard is very simple. Lizard's a very good character for a 3.
I wish he was put into other rosters more, like splashed around.
He got played a lot for a long time.
But he's solid. I mean, he's very good at what he does, especially with the throw.
That's what I mean. That's what I think Gorgon is. I think Gorgon is solid.
It's a 3 threat with an 8 dice spender that has a throw, automatic on there, and a wild stagger.
Yeah.
That in itself sells him for me.
But yeah, I think he's really good.
So, all right. Well, Sean, I know there's some tactics cards coming with it. So do you want to go over those?
Sure. So we got 3 new spoiled tactics cards. The first one we're going to go over is the Great Refuge. It is a Inhumans card. Sorry, I'm trying to scroll down to where it is. Okay. The Great Refuge, a Inhuman character with an active leadership ability may spend any amount of power to play this card. For each 2 power spent to play this card, choose an allied Inhumans character without an objective token. Place each chosen character within 3 of its current location. The
Pretty
next one,
good.
Yeah, I mean, it's Rainbow Bridge for Inhumans, but the leader pays it, which is a little bit weird.
Then we have Royal Guardians. Go ahead.
Royal Guardians, unaffiliated, reactive. When an allied character is targeted by an attack and within range 3 of an allied Karnak and or an allied Gorgon or Karnak may spend 3 to play this card. Place the character that has played this card within 1 of the allied character. Place the place character becomes the target of the attack. After the attack is resolved, if Karnak was placed and is not dazed, and there are no allied weakness tokens on the battlefield, the attacking character gains a weakness token. After the attack is resolved, if Gorgon was placed and not dazed, the attacking character gains the shock and stun special conditions. So here's for hire. And last we have... I didn't read the name of this card. Inhomo Supremus.
Canceled.
How dare you?
It is an Inhumans card. It's reactive. During the power phase, an Inhumans character may spend 4 to play this card. This round, while an allied Inhumans character is making an attack that is within range 3 of one or more other allied Inhuman characters, when it uses the Inhuman superpower to reroll dice, it may reroll 1 additional die.
Let's discuss. So, out of those 3, is there one that stands out more than others to you, Sean?
Royal Guardians, obviously. Another Heroes for Hire. Sign me up.
Okay. John, how about you?
I think Great Refuge is super good. I think Royal Guardians is also very good, and I don't think Homo Superius is bad either. I think that all 3 of these cards I think are great, and I think you take them.
Out of the 3, I would have to say the Homo Supremus is probably the one that stands out the most for me. For a whole round, being able to now do reroll of 2 dice for your attacks and defense, it makes you just that much more scary on the board for at least a round. It allows you to do some potential plays to either hold on to some objectives if you really need to, or potentially get some off some of the other characters if you need to try to hit a little bit harder or guarantee some hits. The Rainbow Bridge style one, the Great Refuge, it's nice. I think you kind of fall into that same awkward category of when you want to use it and you look down and you go, I have a hammer on me, or I have a a formula or a serum on me. So
I want to actually explain that one to you, because that actually pays no tax penalty for hammers.
say that again.
So if you read the card, there is no actual hammer penalty to the Great Refuge. It is for every 2 power spent on the card, you get to place 1 character.
Yes, but those characters can't have objective tokens on them.
Oh, I see what I thought you were talking about the extra tax of I have a hammer on me, now
I'm
I have
sorry.
to pay 3 power for this. Okay.
No, just because I've seen a couple times in, even at the Crisis event we just had recently, there were times when people wanted to play Rainbow Bridge and they look down and they go, oh crap, I have an objective on me. And it wouldn't work. So it's nice when it works, but I feel like there's a lot of times people forget about it until they need to use it, and then they realized I've put myself in a corner. I can't do it now because I threw an objective on me.
I don't think you're too worried about it. I think, you might have objectives on you and stuff, but at the same time, I feel like Inhumans are very attrition heavy, especially now. They were before. And I think it's like an early play. You could even do it turn 1 and just be like, nope, I got 2 power on me, bam, and place somebody within 3 all of a sudden. They're like in the middle of the board.
It'd be a good way to get the new Black Bolt up very quickly.
Right.
Now,
you wouldn't have 2 power on Medusa turn 1 is the problem.
But you could. That's correct. You wouldn't. Unless you're taking OG Black Bolt and using his leadership.
You can't take OG Black Bolt and new Black Bolt.
No, not the new one, yes. But let's say you wanted to get Medusa up there quicker, or one of the other Inhumans up there quicker. If you're taking OG Black Bolt, you have more options. If you're not taking OG Black Bolt and you're using, say, Medusa's leadership or Maximus's leadership, then yeah, your only option really for a round 1, turn 1 would be the new Black Bolt.
See, and that's what this card screams Maximus leadership to me, because any other leader that you're taking in Inhumans, you want the power on them, and this is a power drain to your leader.
Yeah, you're right.
Maximus gains that extra power every time you roll a skull, and you're going to roll a skull every single time you make that forced reroll. So he has power to spend on this card.
And then I had one question, maybe you guys can answer, because I'm going to end up lawyering Royal Guardians. If you have both Karnak and Gorgon on your team, and the way that first sentence reads to me, it almost makes it seems like you can have either of them pay for it, even if you're selecting Karnak or the opposite character to do the ability.
Except for it's the next paragraph says the character that played this card, and that is the character that paid the power for it. So you have to take the character that paid the power.
Character that pays does not have to be the one that plays it. I think there's other tactics cards out there.
They say they may spend 3 power to play this card. That means that they are the ones playing it when they are the ones that are spending the power.
I wonder why in the first sentence, so it says, when an allied character is targeted by an attack and is within 3 of an allied Karnak and / or an allied Gorgon. Karnak or Gorgon can spend the 3. So one of them spends the 3 to place within one of the allied character and then does the rest of the text. But why?
I'll explain to you why, because this is the same argument that Jeremy was trying to make. So if I'm going to rules lawyer, if that just said or, I would be like, well, the problem is that both of them are there. And the or, even though ors are technically either or, would say, well, it's one or the other, not both. So if you are within 3 of both.
But that shouldn't matter.
Oh, I understand what you're saying, Sean. You're saying that if it was just or, that you'd have to be within 3 of both.
No, of only one. And if you are
that's what I meant, of only one.
Right, yeah.
But if you were in 3 of both, then you'd be like, well, this card can't be played.
Correct, which is why they worded it this way.
But you don't need
that's
the stupid, and,
but yeah,
though.
You do for that reason.
Because if you're within 3 of both of them, Jeremy, and there's or, then someone would make the argument of, well, you're not within or, you're within both.
Or would mean either or, so one or the other, not both.
Oh.
Where and makes it both of them.
That would be a weird argument because I would never think of it on that side.
I mean,
It
you were
would
just
be
trying
a
to make the
weird
argument
argument,
of
but-
who plays the card versus who spends the power for the card.
Who pays versus who plays, yeah. But
Now,
Turn
the
3.
neat part about this one,
Yeah.
too, though, is that if Karnak already has a weakness token on that character, he will take that attack, which then removes the weakness token, and then the card allows you to put the token back on him again.
Which is
Yes.
why I really love that this card does not have any stipulation of you cannot modify or add dice.
yeah,
it's pretty good. And I think the Superius one, too, is really good. I think they're all three. These are very good. I'm very impressed because, like, I feel like looking at the last box, I was like, man, you know, I didn't really care for the tactics cards. They were okay. I think Medusa's leadership is good. And, like, Maximus is like, I don't know. King Black Bolt, I'm in the same boat. I don't really know. But, like, these two, I think these two are staple to Inhumans every time.
yeah, but these two are definitely splashable. The other two,
Yeah.
you definitely were like, they're going only in humans.
Right, these two are definitely splashable, and I think these three cards, I think you probably take them almost every time.
So Supremus is the card. Not Superius, but
Whatever. In homo.
hey, let's just call it in homo and split the difference. Yeah. So
We'll start
in
that
homo,
trend.
I would be much more excited about if it allowed me to re-roll skulls on those 2 re-rolls. It would be, but it doesn't have to let me re-roll all skulls, just for the Inhuman re-rolls.
The crazy part,
But
too,
why
is,
does it
is-
matter if Karnak can have 2 of your skulls count as successes?
Yeah, but I think the 4 power is rough on that.
It is.
The other crazy thing, too, is you have the old card of, what is it, Inhuman Royal Family, which allows you to just straight up reroll everything once for an attack or defense during that, like, turn. Then you play this, so you're getting your full reroll, your 2 Inhuman rerolls. You could really put out some hurting.
Which is why I would be more excited to see if there were skulls in there, because I almost always, when I have that many re-rolls,
Yeah, you're gonna get
I
too many
run out of
skulls.
re-roll things to re-roll.
Well, stop rolling skulls and you'll be okay.
Nah, I roll average dice there, Jeremy. I'm not, Mr. 7 dice, 12.
This is why you
I don't know
play
what you're talking about.
Invaders, and then I don't have to worry about that problem.
Like, could you see splashing Zemo and Namor in with this? How many rerolls you're getting out of a whole roster?
Right. And the fact that they're 3s, I think, also leaves more room for Inhumans to get splashed.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, we were on this train of, man, how many releases were like 4 and up forever? And it's been a while, I feel
Yeah.
like, since we've gotten a 3. I guess Angel was technically a 3.
Yeah, I mean, your baseline in humans, you had 2 4s and a 3. That was your baseline. And then whatever you splashed in after that.
Right. They have 3s in there. I just don't feel like they get played. Like Crystal
What are you
doesn't
talking
get played.
Quicksilver's fine. Miss Marvel's
Quicksilver's
fine.
I don't know about
I
Miss
don't,
Marvel.
I guess
She
it
does-
depends on the
She
way you
does
wanna
get
play.
played. I don't think she gets played very much in our meta, but she does see the table. I don't really see it, but I also haven't really played with her or against her. So
And what
But-
about what about Lockjaw? He's the best. He's the best boy.
I don't like Lockjaw. I think Lockjaw's a trap.
Our meta has gone very attrition-y with Inhumans.
That's all metas,
So
I feel like.
it's one of those things where, you were just bringing the 2-4. Obviously, Medusa and Black Bolt were going to be definites in there. And then Lockjaw for a little while was going, but I think people veered off from that and started taking either Quicksilver or if you could get another 4 out of it, taking Ronin. And then from there, you were usually putting a big beat stick in there to just go after people. So either like OG Hulk, a Thor 2, something else that could benefit from Black Bolt's leadership to have power passed over to them. And so I don't know, maybe this allows for a wider Inhumans play. That'd be cool to see. I just don't know how it's going to work, of course, in our circuit. I don't know if it would be something people would end up trying or not.
So if we think they're splashable, where are you going to splash them? Like, where would you splash Karnak?
So my first thoughts for Karnak comes down to a very, very funny one. The Wakanda, King T'Challa for the pushes, and then possibly going into a Defenders roster. Defenders have a lot of martial artists. And
I like the idea of in Defenders with a bunch of martial artists.
yeah, I mean, they can. I would say they would probably end up being a pain in the butt for a lot of people if you just come to a fight and you're like, cool, I have 5 characters and they all count blanks. Have fun. And
Right,
Yeah,
especially
but
if your team also is like a very close range team. You're like, oh yeah, I strike within 2 or 3, and it's like crap.
Yep. So I think depending on who your opponent is, I think a defenders would be good for him. And then outside of that, I'm not sure. I do like the counting the skulls as successes. I don't know if maybe he could be dipped into Asgard because of some of the skull shenanigans, but
I wouldn't.
those
I
two are
wouldn't.
the ones that are staples to me: the Wakanda and the defenders.
I feel like that's like saying dipping him into like Dark Dimension for the purpose of the skulls. But in like when it comes to the skull stuff for Asgard and Dark Dimension, you already count it. So it doesn't really do you any good to
Well,
change
Only
so-
if you're
them.
taking Loki, but
So Loki doesn't count his; he counts the opponents. So this would allow then for also Loki's to count as well. But no, I think the problem is then the power cost. Like you're not going to be doing that all the time.
Right.
Maybe obviously everyone goes good in Avengers, obviously because you're
Right.
reducing the power. I mean, doing pinpoint weakness for 1 cost, that's really good. So, but everything's good in Avengers.
I guess like the teachings of the 3
But
worlds.
yeah, I
is
think the
basically
big
like,
ones
what
are
do I just
Wakanda,
need
defenders.
to put that
That's my
extra
deal.
damage over to take out, Thor 2? Then yeah, I'm gonna spend 4 to take my 2 skulls and make them successes just to take him out. More than it is just like on an average attack. Like I'm definitely you're not always going to be spending that 4 when you get it. Now Gorgon, I am debating trying him in Invaders.
I mean, seems fine pretty much anywhere you put him.
Yeah. But I think with he has his own reroll plus Namor's reroll plus Zemo's reroll. So I have 3 rerolls on my Beam
No.
3 4 dice.
Positioning is going to be the big thing for him for that blocking.
Yeah, but he has charge. He'll be moving around the board.
He'll be fine.
Yeah, but then also making sure you're within range of Zemo and Namor and stuff. Definitely down the middle is kind of
Right.
like the game
Well,
plan.
first turn you'll sit rep him basically to push him forward, so that way you're just that much closer to the action real quick. So you should be able to move once and get a hoofquake off, put out some shock, and then you should probably be still within like somewhat range.
Just thinking about it, the only another good one would be Crime with Abomination. They don't have to worry about the poison, so they could be good splashes in there just because they'll be able to stay around him without worrying about taking the damage.
Does Abomination give your own guys poison?
I'm pretty sure he gives everybody poison.
I know Omega Red and them I think did, but I didn't think he did.
I'm checking right now.
No, it's enemy characters.
Okay, so then I guess that wouldn't matter for him. So
Yeah, Rad Zone is enemy characters. It's the old ones like Omega Red that I believe handed out to their own characters. Which, if Rad Zone's really good. It's kicked my butt a bunch of times now where I'm like, crap, you need to take 2 damage. Here you go, take it. I'm like, damn it, every time. It's gotten me multiple times now. It sucks. But I think if you changed Omega Red's kind of thing to that,
or
that
it's just
might
enemies.
make a big deal.
Yeah. He's unfortunate. I like the model. I like the character. He's just unfortunate. He does need an update, but
Well, Death Force is enemy characters too. It doesn't affect your own characters. But your death factor, this character, I don't know where I was going. I'm not going to sit here and read the
no,
card.
that's okay.
All right.
But I mean, so overall, final thoughts. They're really good.
I think the second half of this box is vastly superior to the first half.
Yeah.
I like the second half.
But I think we are going to hopefully see more Inhumans players pop up now because they have more options and also it's really good characters coming out for them. So I'm excited for it. How about you, Sean?
I'm definitely excited. I'm not a big Inhumans player previously, but I'm going to be building a Inhumans roster for Timeline. Honestly, if I was looking at a singles event, I would probably be still running OG Black Bolt, but I am kind of excited about running OG Black Bolt with Gladiator and Gorgon. Just have the Heroes for Hire, have Sacrifice in there, have OG Black Bolt bodyguard. You're not taking confidence tokens off of Gladiator anytime soon.
That's another one that's going to end up being a menace, I feel. And he'll be releasing fairly soon, won't he?
It'll be
Same
out
exact time as this box.
Yep, 2 weeks before Adepticon.
Boy.
Some people already have it. I've been seeing them popping up that they're getting painted and they're already out. So
Of course.
they're out there. Another thing I thought too with like the new Inhumans guys too is I was very surprised comic book wise they were 3s. If I was like a betting guy, I would have 100% bet these 2 characters were going to be 4s just by the way they are in the comic books and stuff.
I agree with you. Please don't give them ideas. We need more 3s. We don't need any more 4s.
I'm all for them being 3s. I just think it's weird. So like for Sable the 4.
Yeah, I know.
Just the lady with the gun, and she's a 4. But this master of kung fu here is a 3, and this centaur monster man is a 3. Sometimes their point costs are just. I get it; it's a game, but I like the comic book accurate kind of stuff. Where I'm surprised that some of these characters are at the levels that they're at.
So you're saying you don't like Black Widow 2 being a 4 threat?
I don't mind that Black Widow 3 is a 4 threat.
Sorry, 3.
Yeah, that's fine, because nobody plays the other one. I'm okay with her being a 4 threat, because she's supposed to be like a master assassin kind of thing, where Silver Sable's just a mercenary. I mean, she's good at her job, yes. But is she on the same level as Black Widow? Fuck no.
I mean, and it is tough to separate it from comics versus what you think will do well with the game. I mean, my go-to reference for that kind of topic and issue is always Storm. The Storm in the game is a very sad representation of how she is in the comics.
You mean that 2 Omega level mutants in the X-Men are both 3s?
Yeah. It's, but again, what are they going to do? She comes out, make her a 6, and then they had to kind of find a way to make the affiliation work with what they had, with also giving you popular characters. And it stinks, but but they do make up for it with other renditions of characters to make them stronger or better.
Right. It's not a complaint. It's just a surprise sometimes where I'm like, oh, because I always feel like when characters are revealed, you're kind of like a betting on like, what's he gonna be? Like Mephisto? I'd have never guessed Mephisto's gonna be a 5.
The only one I will be judging them harshly on is whatever Phoenix ends up being. Like, they need to make sure that's accurate as much as possible.
I'm sorry, it's a girl character going into MCP. It's going to be sad.
No. Black Widow was good. Number 3, good. Spider-Woman,
Black Widow 1's really good.
Great. So
Dark Phoenix will have everything that another 6 threat has, because she'll probably come out as a 6.
See, that's what I think. Is like, I feel like she might be a 7. I can't see her being an 8. I think Dormammu ruined 8s.
I'm hoping for 7. Realistically, I'm thinking a 6.
But you know that all her attacks are going to be like, oh, if the character's size 3 or less, you can throw it. Where everything else...
I want her to be an 8. I want her to be like outrageous, because she should be outrageous. She's a god, essentially.
Yeah,
but so is Dormammu. So
I would be fine with it as long as they can make it correct.
Right. I mean, she's definitely got some crazy stuff going on, because from what we've seen so far, she starts off as just Phoenix, and she gets these 2 fire pillars, which we have, of course, no idea what any of this stuff does. But at some point, she builds up heat or whatever she builds up tokens on to turn herself into the Phoenix Unleashed, and then that's removed, and you're putting on that big model with the big old Phoenix in the background, which looks awesome. Which I think happened in like when you were playing Marvel vs. Capcom, one of those ones, Phoenix was a character, and that was like the whole thing, is you had to like fight your way through it until you could unleash the Phoenix, and then you were like unstoppable.
Now, do you think that's going to be just a encounter, or do you think that that's actually going to be part of the character design, as it starts off weak and you build it up to being Dark Phoenix?
I'm pretty sure they said it's part of the character. I haven't seen him mention anything about it being like an ultimate encounter or anything like that. I've only seen the small little snippet of playing her on the board. Doesn't mean it's not ultimate encounter, of course.
No, but I mean, they did the same rev up or build up for Captain Marvel and gosh, who was the other one? I thought there was another one, but I think it might only be Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I could see it being similar to that, where Captain Marvel transforms and then, she's really Captain
Spending
Marvel
the
2.
power on that better
Mhm.
character side of her, and then
Right, and
once
then
she
it kind of
loses all that
peters
power,
out
she
if you don't keep up with it, kind of
yep.
thing. I can see that. Or who knows? Maybe if she's an 8 and she gets to that point, she just stays like that. And
What
you're like, oh
what
shit.
if it's like a flip side situation? So like she's the one kind on her healthy side, and then when you flip her, it's like watch out, and then
They,
she goes crazy.
I'm pretty sure they said it's some kind of like build up transformation, not a flipping scenario.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I can't wait till we can discuss more
Well,
about her.
hopefully, because we have Adepticon coming up here at the end of March, and they always have like a big reveal of everything for a long time. Like me and Sean went last year, and we still saw things that haven't even seen like actual models yet. We only saw renderings for I think 3 or 4 releases still. So they show you so much stuff ahead of time. Hopefully, we'll get a better glimpse of like what Phoenix will look like, what Phoenix will do, and then of course all the stuff coming in the future. We should have like over a year worth of reveals set out for us.
Yeah, I have a feeling that her reveal is going to be the big thing at their preview show this year at Adepticon.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. However, like Apocalypse was a huge reveal last year, and we didn't know. Like I had wish listed him, of course, but I
mean,
didn't think it was going to happen.
He was number 1 on my I bet you this is coming list.
Right. I was hoping he was the next big bad too, so that was really cool.
Well, you guys are going to be our field reporters there on the ground at Adepticon, so I'm sure I'll get plenty of updates from you guys of what they're revealing, what they're showing, your
Right.
thoughts
Before
on it.
we go, we're gonna have to set up like a wish list for what we would hope to see at this preview.
Oh, do it as a bingo card for yourself.
Well, there you go.
Take some shots as you're doing it.
I get pretty darn like lucky on these things because I've wish listed a couple of characters. I didn't think that Wrecking Crew. I was like, man, that'd be awesome. And I thought they would just be 4 random models. I was like, they'll never do it because they're never going to make a box of 4 guys. And each of them is an individual, be their Wrecking Crew. And they're like, well, surprise on you. We're just putting them all on one base.
That's right. And
so
it's
it
because
lets
they
those
listen
like,
to us.
right. It's those weird characters I would love to see that aren't your movie Marvel characters. I want like Stiltman in here,
Why? Why would you want that?
That model would be crazy cool looking.
The power of stilts.
Like some of those weird characters would be so much fun in the game. And I like just having like that one weird random character where if you come into the game, it's like I watched all the movies and you'd never read a comic book or anything like that, especially like younger kids and stuff like that. They don't feel like they don't read comic books.
I mean, you already know who's coming in the reveal this year, right? It's going to be the Fantastic Four. You know it.
Well,
they're getting a new movie.
We thought that last year.
Yeah, but the movie's coming in the next year.
Yeah,
so
but last year,
movie.
4-year anniversary, it was the perfect time to do it.
I know. The PR team dropped the ball.
Fantastic Four would be great. Hooray. But Doom is what we all want.
True.
Doom and Doombot.
So, speaking of Adepticon with stuff, I know, John, you found the list of the prize wall, like the prize support that's going to be there. Do you want to go over that and explain what they're giving out to players?
Sure. Last year we went to Adepticon, and so every game that you play, you get set amount of tickets. If you win, you get an extra ticket, and you're allowed to exchange those tickets in a Chuck E. Cheese style and get yourself sweet things. And they have revealed what their prize wall will be for this year. So we have the dice, whether or not they're new or not. I've heard people say they're going to be yellow. It doesn't say. It just says the dice. So hopefully they're yellow. There's rumors, but I haven't seen any pictures. We are getting new Alt Art Team Tactics cards. We're getting Wolverines, Astral Plane, Last Minute Save, Crimson Dawn, and Implanted Memories on all Alt Art Team Tactics cards. These cards are weird ones.
Yeah. Now, this is what people get for just participating, correct?
You're going to get, no, you get these for participating, but you can also go to the prize wall. So let's say you're playing Legion or you're playing Shatterpoint. All the tickets are the same. The tickets aren't specific for MCP or for Legion or for Shatterpoint. So if you play one game, you get tickets, but you want to go get something at something else, you can do that. Because we played all MCP events last year, and if we wanted to get the Legion dice for some reason, we could. It's whatever you want to spend your tickets on.
Okay.
But I think these are just random alternate art team tag. They're random cards. They're weird cards. So like, are you ever going to play Astral Plane?
You might play Wolverines. That's the only one I can think of.
Really, I was going to say Last Minute Save is the one I feel like would get played the most. That's the Lockjaw card.
You just said you hate Lockjaw.
I do, but out of all those ones, I feel like that one probably gets played the most.
So, John, real quick, on Atomic Mass Games website, through one of their transmissions for the grand tournament prize support, it does state that everyone who enters walks away with bespoke dice and the 5 alternate art team tactics cards. So they don't make it sound like it's a ticket situation. They make it sound like they're just going to give it to you.
They probably will if
If
you enter
you
the
are
GT.
playing in the MCP, is what I'm saying. If you're playing Legion all weekend and you have tickets, you can go spend your tickets on these team tactics cards if you want them.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So it'll allow you to get things for other games that you didn't participate in if you have interest.
Correct. If you're just straight up playing in the MCP events, you are going to get dice and the alt art team tactics cards. And then if you top 8, you get the foil character cards of Mephisto, Iron Fist, and Luke Cage, as well as I think the top 4 then get the hollow team tactic cards of Inhuman Queen and Plots Within Plots out of the new Inhuman box. But you can still go get those things at the prize wall. So it's not like you have to top 8 and top 4 in order to get these things. You just get them for free at that point. And then the one thing on here that I'm very curious about is the plastic stat cards for Gambit, Rogue, and Cyclops. I have no idea what these are going to be.
My guess is it's plastic card that they printed on.
Probably. That seems like so simple that it's probably true. But then at the same time, like my brain just thinks about something crazy, but it would be such a pain in the butt if it was something crazy, I guess.
It would be, and if it was anything like, they would have called it acrylic character cards if they were doing something like they did for their measuring sticks or the scoreboard.
You think it's almost like the card is obviously made on some kind of plastic card where you could almost like mark on it, wipe away, or you don't even need to put it in like a sleeve. Like we currently put all of ours obviously in sleeves.
Yeah, I just think it makes it so you don't need a sleeve.
Yeah.
It might have some cool artwork on it.
That would be cool if the card was also just a wee bit different. That would be nice. I would definitely appreciate that.
The only thing I'm just surprised it's those 3 characters. It's just an odd 3 to pick to me.
Yeah. So my biggest problem with it being these 3 characters, well, Cyclops maybe not, but the other 2 are prime candidates for getting a character rework whenever they do that.
Yes, that was also in my head with it.
That's my problem with a lot of these ones. That's usually why I don't spend my tickets on things like these, because it's nice. Yeah, I got a foil Iron Fist, and then all of a sudden they do a character update, and that card's completely like done with. So my foil card is silly. The big thing that pointed that out is there are no more hollow Infinity Gems are not on the list anymore, which I think is fine because the Infinity Gems I feel like get changed here and there, and then those foil cards are just useless, pointless. So I would rather spend my tickets on the dice. Last year they had mats. They had the Danger Room mat and the Wakanda mat. They also had art prints and stuff. All that stuff wasn't listed this year. Not to say it's not there, but it's just not listed.
Well, I wonder if it's not listed because of how untenable they were last year.
Correct. They were very well, and the art prints took a lot of tickets too.
Yeah, I mean, like if you weren't in a group of people that wanted to agree that they were going to pull their tickets for those items, you were not getting those items.
Right. We knew a husband and a wife team that was pulling all of their tickets from MCP and Legion just to get a map.
That's crazy.
She had a fat stack of tickets. Tell you what, though.
Yeah, she did, and she kept on playing Mojo Bowl over and over again just because they gave out tickets.
That's a pretty good idea. I really want to do that master mold thing just to see what it's like because I love them Sentinels. So I think they're all sold out though, and that might be a reason why they sell out so hot and quick is because you're going to get good tickets from them.
And they're quick events.
Well, we all know most of the tickets are going into the dice because we found out shockingly last time that the dice sell really well.
Well, not going to anymore because now everybody knows that they're not just limited to Adepticon.
Correct. Last time, it was the first time anyone had seen anything but red dice, and they're like, hey,
Right.
I want
And
that.
we were all under the impression you could only get them at Adepticon. And that went away real quick.
Yeah, like within the month. Like they gave them away in April.
Right.
Yeah, you got to be quick on it. You got to be quick.
We should have been quick on it. We made
That's right.
300 bucks.
Yeah. But so, I mean, I'm assuming you guys are excited then for going.
Yeah, definitely.
It's nice to see that they give you the opportunity because I've never gone. I've never dealt with this ticket situation from games. Coming from an outside perspective, it's nice to see that, maybe you do like Shatterpoint, maybe you do like Legion, but you just don't have time to play everything. It's nice that they give you the opportunity to earn things for those other games that you might not have time to play. It's really nice. Plus, you're getting the stuff from playing the game that you're already set to play. So like you're already getting an automatic reward, and then it's a nice ticket bonus on top for games that you missed out on.
Yeah, I mean, the prize wall is just straight gravy. Like, I could take it or leave it. I don't really care the prize wall's there. I want my dice, so give them to me for playing in the event, but everything else is just a bonus.
And last year they also did, like the guys running the set events also did raffles and stuff too on top of that. I don't even think that was AMG's raffles. I think that was just, the guys running it.
It was the guys running it that did the raffle. It was AMG prize support that they gave them to do with it as they pleased.
Right. And that was all nice too. So there's a bunch of extra stuff going on there. It's definitely, I've said before, the best tabletop miniatures of like con event to go to is Adepticon by far. It has the best, what's the vendor hall, best games, best tournament setting. I think it's my favorite by far. It's totally worth it.
I am definitely shooting for next year going. I definitely want to at least get out to it. I've never been to it. I've heard nothing but great things.
It's on a different level. It's like when we go to Nova's fun and all, but it's not Adepticon. It's like going to a local Comic-Con and then you go to like New York's Comic-Con. They're two totally different things. They're both great in their own ways, but they're different, and it's just you'll see when you get there like how crazy different it is.
It'll be a good experience, I'm sure. All right, so moving on to Crisis Event number 1 that we had over at Huzzah Hobbies in Virginia. I know both you, John, and Sean, you guys played in it. John, you want to go over that briefly of how the event went and the location and details?
Sure thing. So we had our first Crisis event at Huzzah Hobbies in Ashburn, Virginia. A big shout out to the Nova Protocol guys. They supplied terrain, prize support. They ran the whole thing. Andrew was our judge for the whole event. He put everything together. This man makes unique trophies every time he runs a tournament. He has raffles. He makes custom tactics cards. He does it all. So big shout out to him. Thanks. And we appreciate all that you do for the circuit. And just keep knocking these tournaments out of the park. Every time we do it, we grow bigger and bigger. We sold out, just like we do for most of our events in this circuit. And let's go ahead and go over what we took. I'll start because mine's sad. I took Crime, and I wanted to stick with Claw the whole time. And it didn't go well for me. It was very unfortunate. I think I took bad Crisis cards or something. I just wanted to play him.
You're going to try him again, right?
Oh,
come on.
Maybe I probably will eventually, but I think I'm going to take. I had painted Sandman and I painted the Wrecking Crew, and I was like, all right, I want to play with these two characters. Who else do I want to play with? So I was like, I really want to take Claw because nobody takes him, and I took him in Timeline last year at Adepticon. I really liked him, but in Timeline he might have been good, But when you have the full roster of toys to play with, he doesn't do so well, I think. But I think he does need another try, and maybe I just wasn't playing him right.
This guy gets some
So,
practice into him.
right.
And
And
Sean,
then
so who'd you take?
I hemmed and hawed a lot, but I ended up just taking Asgard.
Disgusting. So
Yeah, it's true scumbag over here.
disgusting.
right. And it
Uh,
wasn't like you're pretty much your standard Asgard list. You didn't have any kind of like weird splash or spiciness in there.
No, I mean it was Asgard, all good stuff. Standard Asgard roster with Loki 1, Hulk, Baron Zemo, Shang-Chi, and Namor is my flex, quote unquote, spots.
All good stuff.
All
Yeah.
good stuff.
the bell of shame is ringing for you.
That's okay. He makes up for my fadness.
That's
So-
true. You had to have the counterbalance to it. So.
Right. It was between Claw and Dark Dimension, and I literally decided like an hour before we left.
So as far as kind of going over how your guys' games went, John, I know you're a lot more sad than not. Sean, I know you did very well, and we'll kind of get back to that. Was there any takeaways, anything that shocked you guys while you were there? Maybe an affiliation that was taken that you didn't think people would take? Any kind of interesting plays that happened that kind of stood out to you?
Well, I was actually kind of shocked at the amount of people playing Mephisto leadership. I mean, I think we had like 3 or 4 people rocking that. I don't think it's that great. Stats would show it's not that great from the results of the tournament, but it was definitely interesting to see that. I don't know that there was any big breakouts. I was actually amazed that 2 of our top 8 players were both Webs. I feel like Webs has a hard time in the full attrition meta. And it was kind of nice to see 2 of them representing.
And then John, any surprises or anything that kind of stood out to you?
it wasn't a surprise because I knew what he was taking, but it was definitely like a highlight of my evening here is my buddy Don Squire over here playing Sentinels. He's been rocking Sentinels for like I think the last 2-3 tournaments, and he has not been doing bad. He's playing like Hulkbuster, 3 Sentinels. His roster has War Machine and the 2 different Iron Mans in it. It's all like armored theme and everything. And he has been killing it from these last 2 tournaments. Just from the last one alone, he went from ranked 11th Sentinel player to 3rd. Just from one tournament, it shot him up that much. He has a winning record too with Sentinels of 7 and 6.
Technically, he is in 2nd because the first place is unclaimed because no one has
Right.
played enough games with Sentinels to claim the first place slot.
That's
Right.
crazy.
It is. It's
That is
crazy. 'Cause
crazy.
His whole goal, he told me too, he's like, man, I just really want to make it into the top 10. He was 11th. He just wanted to go up 1 slot. That tournament's over. He goes home, immediately sends out a message, I'm 3rd. So it is a huge jump for him.
Yeah, but I mean, that goes to show you that, even if you don't place very high in a single tournament, your rankings can skyrocket.
Right. And he is just embracing those Sentinels for the unfortunate thing that they are sometimes, but is doing the Lord's work with them. So, big old shout out to him and keep it going.
Yeah, I like to see it. I like to see it.
Right.
So speaking of kind of, rankings and how the event went, you want to go over, John, the winners, best painted, stuff like that real quick?
For things, we'll start from the bottom up. We have our best painted, which went to Kyle with his Avengers. He has a very nice looking Avengers list that he brings to pretty much I think every tournament I've seen him at. He plays Avengers, and he's always updating, adding characters. He had just added Man-Thing and did a black and white theme.
Yeah,
And
it was
just
very
used a
good.
little bit of color here and there to do red for the eyes and everything, but to keep it in that black and white, kind of like how the TV show was. It was very cool looking.
Yeah, I was actually surprised at how well it turned out. When I went past that table taking photos, I first thought he didn't have it painted, and I had to do a double take, and I believe it was either you or it was one of the other players as I was going by had mentioned to me, no, he did it in that theme. And so when I came back around and saw the little blood drops and things that he had added, I was like, oh, wow, like really seeing the details in it once you started focusing on it.
So then for our winners for placing, we had our third place winner was Ricky with his Midnight Suns. He had none of the new characters. He didn't have Man-Thing or Elsa. She's running all the older Midnight Suns. He always does very well with these things, so that's good on him, man. Third place is a solid play. 3rd out of 30 is amazing.
Yes.
Second place, James Jimmy Moore and his Guardians, and he was rocking new characters. He had Yondu and Nova in his list. I didn't play against him, so I haven't seen how they worked, but I know that Sean here played against him with Nova. How was Nova?
Is awesome, to say the least. So I had to play him in the last round, and he put me on 17 threat, which is the only threat I did not want to play on. Because my only roster for 17 threat and keeping Thor 2 in the roster is Thor 2, Hulk, and Jane, which is not very great at 17. And freaking Nova, turn 1, put 6 damage on Hulk just from moving once and slapping him. And I'm like, oh, okay, I see how this game's going to go. Yeah, he's great. The only thing you gotta watch out for him is on his spender, Jimmy didn't understand that the place is off of the last character that you hit. He thought you were placing within Nova's range. So it's just something to watch out for. It was a little bit of a gotcha moment for him when I was like, no, you have to come into my line and sit next to me, and then I get to slap you.
Yeah, it could definitely turn into a misplay with it.
But yeah, for a 5 threat, he's solid, rock solid.
She'll definitely see more of him, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of places to splash him now. The pushes were really relevant on him. Having the judgment also super relevant in that matchup.
So I think you'll probably see him a lot more. Did he end up taking that tactics card, the Stop Citizen card?
No, it wasn't really relevant on the scenario that we were playing. I think we were playing Montesi and Infinity Formula, and he couldn't fit it in.
Right. There's a lot of other cards there that you're going to want to take. So, and then for our first place winner, our very own Reynolds wrap here, Sean took it with his Asgardians.
Woot.
Yay.
Woot.
Yeah.
And the crowd goes wild. You know, I will. So we were talking about surprises from the tournament. I am actually surprised that we only had 2 Asgard players.
I'm surprised in a good way about that. Like what you mentioned about the Web Warriors, I am so happy I saw many more affiliations I haven't seen in a while being played. And I'm glad people are not trying to chase the meta as roughly from the first event. I hope that continues in the upcoming events. I want to see more affiliations played.
Granted, a lot of people didn't put their information in Longshanks. There were a lot of Midnight Suns players.
Yes, there were.
And they are definitely pretty up there when it comes to like the meta. I just think we saw a drop back of Asgard, but they were replaced by the Midnight Suns here.
I mean, do you think that's going to be one of those, it's fresh, new, everyone thinks it's going to be extremely good, and then it'll start to fade a little bit as more releases start coming out?
I think it's going to fade as soon as the Inhumans box drops, to be honest with you.
I don't know. I feel like people really, really like those characters. So I do feel like they're really popular, but there was a huge mix of stuff with people that just put in their things. We had the most games were Midnight Sun games. Apparently, we had Hellfire Club in there too. I didn't see that person.
Yeah, you did.
I did.
It's Mr. Swoosh.
Okay. He was Hellfire. I thought he was Mephisto.
He was both Hellfire and Mephisto.
So he's just unaffiliated, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Gotcha. And then we had like one Apocalypse player. There was only one Shield player. There's a big old mix of stuff going on there.
Yeah, it was cool to see. I really enjoyed. Even though I didn't play, I was taking a lot of the photos there. It was nice to watch the tournament from that perspective. I haven't been able to really hang out and just watch it go on. I know you're usually judging, John, so you're usually the one that's able to kind of walk around and see games being played, see how people are doing. It was nice getting that kind of experience just to see where people's thoughts were on moves they were making with certain characters, and it was kind of eye-opening for me. But it also gave me the chance to get some nice pictures that we have up on our Facebook for people to view if they would like to view them.
Check them out. There are tons of photos, good photos.
And so at the end of the day, it was a really good event.
At the end of the day, there was also still no New Mutants players.
As there shouldn't be.
That's the only New Mutants player was
the
our judge.
I don't think he plays them anymore. I think he gave up.
Unfortunate.
The sad New Mutant.
You never know. There might be a surprise at Adepticon. You just never know.
Hey, in that list, man, we're looking for that cannonball. So that'll definitely be on my wish list. We'll have to take like 10 characters we want to see.
Well, I already got 5.
And see who.
There you go. And so do we have...
Your 5, by the way, Sean, don't count.
Really?
Your Mr. Fantastic, Human Torch, Invisible Woman, Thing, and Dr. Doom are not part of that wish list.
Oh, I can't
because
take
they're
those.
so obvious.
Oh, I have to go deep. Okay.
Yeah, we have to go for like actual, like we all want Doom and we all want the Fantastic Four. But I think we have to go for something that we're not expecting more. You know what I mean?
You have to deep dive those wikis and try to find the most random characters that
Well, you can still pick
out.
characters that are popular characters that aren't in the game yet. But I think every year, everybody's wish list, it contains those 5.
What the hell is Quinn's dad, Jack?
Ew, you want Ego? The planet?
No, that's a movie. I want the comic book version of him. Jack, he's a pirate.
Are you talking about Cyclops' dad?
No.
The Starjammer?
Hold on. Forgot his name now.
You're talking about Star-Lord's dad?
Star-Lord's dad, yeah.
He was a general or something, wasn't he?
No, he was he was basically the Emperor from 40K.
I don't know anything about that.
They are unfortunately not a comic series that I ever read.
Jawson? It's Jason?
Yeah, that's it.
I have no fucking clue who that guy is.
Well, you said you go deep.
Sure.
We're
deep.
going into the unknown.
We're going deep.
The unknown.
Hey, I've never even seen this guy before. You don't have to go deep. You just can't pick the most obvious thing in the world. Like Fantastic Four and Dr. Doom are off the table.
Now, again, I've not been to Adepticon, so every year that they've released stuff for MCP, do they always have one reveal that seems to be like a powerhouse? Like, we're all assuming Phoenix is going to be pretty high up there in cost for how strong she's going to be. Who was the one prior to that? Was there someone the previous year that
before the year that we went?
Mm-hmm. Apocalypse was a big deal the year we went, because that was crazy. But then, like, Mephisto was also revealed, and so were the monsters. So Dracula was also revealed. So you get a lot of reveals, not one particular, like, big bad kind of thing. Granted, we knew that Apocalypse was coming with like his own terrain set and stuff.
So I'm just trying to think of like not big baddies, but people that are going to be like the menace for the next year. And the two that would probably stick in my mind would be maybe Silver Surfer would be a good one to come in a box by himself. And then the only other one I could think in a box by themselves, maybe we end up getting another, I would hate to see it, but maybe we get another Magneto or some change to one of the old big baddies.
An X-Men leader Magneto, a good guy Magneto, in the white costume. Hell yeah.
And I mean, granted, the one we have now being a 6 call, is he 6? Yeah, he's 6 calls. He's a rough 6 call, so he more swings towards a 5. But I wonder if they would push into maybe like a 7 cost Magneto and really bring in like the Omega threat level kind of style character.
I think he'd probably go the opposite direction if you were going to make like a new version of him, because it seems like with a lot of those characters that you really want, like Xavier should have been like really powerful, but
yeah,
in reality, on the table he's not.
Maybe another Storm. Maybe
another Storm would be cool, I guess. I mean, I want Jubilee would be my top X-Men wish list as a 2-3. Jubilee should never be more than 2 points.
I mean, they just had a big X-Men year last year. You think they're going to go back to X-Men for hitting other affiliations?
Mutants. I mean, I don't think they're going to have a big release, but I do think that so if New Mutants don't get any new characters, X-Force doesn't get any new characters, all those characters are basically X-Men 2 at the same time. So you're talking about 4 affiliations that you're not going to give any love to during the year.
I'd
'Cause
like
New
to see them
Mutants
focus on
definitely
some of the
need
old
love.
ones. Like Winter Guard needs some love. I think they need to bring out some Winter Guard at the Adepticon. Like show some new ones
They
off.
have the cool, like if you just pull up Google search like an image for Winter Guard, and like the first picture you're going to get is like this Avengers Assembled picture of all the other Winter Guard members, and they are just the coolest looking characters. I don't know anything about them outside of what it says in that little picture, so I barely ever seen them in a comic, but all those characters look amazing. So yeah,
So
we'll have to compile a list of who we want to see.
do we have any more details for the next Crisis event?
Not right at this moment. I have to go. Unfortunately, Gary is my liaison for that next event, and he has been out. So I'm basically just waiting on him to get the word so I can set it up. But it should be set up hopefully here in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
It will be in April, will be event 2. It will most likely be at Titan Games and Hobbies up in Timonium. But outside of that, I just don't have anything official, so I can't put anything out. Those are the plans, though.
Once we do, we'll be sure to put it on Discord as soon as possible, just to give everyone a heads up.
Definitely. And then if, once it comes out, like stay tuned, be ready for it. Once it comes out, it goes quick.
Okay. Well, I think that's everything I had for this evening. How about you guys?
I think that's about it for today. Target Acquired Podcast is brought to you by Game Chefs, your ultimate destination for all things tabletop. Whether you're looking for a new exciting board game, assembling your squad for Marvel Crisis Protocol, or building the perfect Warhammer army, Game Chefs has everything you need: miniatures, dice, rulebooks, and the best community of gamers around. And just for you, our amazing listeners, Game Chefs is offering 15% off your next purchase. Just use the code TAG 2025, that's tag 2025, gamechefs.org, and save on your next adventure. Roll some dice and level up your game at Game Chefs. Link and code can be found in the description, and that concludes this episode of a Target Acquired Podcast. See ya!